How does that
No,
look?
I'm not saying that. You get some sense that there's a handful of stocks.
Look at that. I mean, you could tie that to the market. Bang. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Commercial Break. We truly hope your travels have been fun, enjoyable, and safe. You know, we try to do things new every once in a while here on Commercial Break, and we've come up with a segment that we call, Tim, Heroes and Zeros.
And what do you mean try? I mean, I think this is not your everyday heroes and zeros. Again, this is where we choose our three targets of the week from the business world, from the entertainment world, from the sports world. And again, these are places we roam whether you want us to or not, Guy. And we're going to tab them hero or zero and why. And it's not surprisingly another big week. By the way, you're heroic wearing that black T-shirt again. Have you worn that every day this week?
That's how I roll, man. It's just, listen, you got to save on laundry detergent, and I'm doing my part here to be a good citizen. But I see over your shoulder, I see the likeness of Jamie Dimon. So I'm thinking that he might be our first hero of the week.
Jamie Dimon. So Jamie Dimon, hero of the week. A week when also, banks have been reporting its earnings season. Banks have been in the spotlight because the world is focused on inflation. The world is focused on job growth. The banks often are considered the scourge of Main Street and the darlings of Wall Street. And I think Jamie Dimon is a hero this week because he actually tackled two really important issues for Main Street and Wall Street. One was just comp, and I mean, pay, what you're earning at big banks. Guy, you worked at a big bank. I mean, yeah, do you think people are overpaid on Wall Street?
Listen, I never thought that's the case. And to me, Wall Street's always been the great meritocracy. And I think within the walls or the halls of JP Morgan, he is a hero. And I'd like to read a quote that I think will sort of galvanize and make sense to people. Here you go. There's global competition. There's non-bank competition. There's direct private lending competition. There's Jane Street competition. There's Citadel competition. There's FinTech competition. There's PayPal competition. It's a lot of competition, and we intend to win, and we're going to do what we need to do to keep our people here. Hero!
Remember that song by The Doors, She Lives on Love Street, by the way? Lingers long on Love Street. She has a house and garden. I would like to see. I don't even know why I'm saying this, but I like The Doors.
I'm not sure.
I think The Doors, by the way, what's interesting is that The Doors were actually they were heroes in the 80s and largely even, not even recognized in their core decade of the 70s. But I'll leave that for you. I think Jamie Dimon is a hero because at a time when it's so easy to bash Wall Street and point out how bankers are fat cats, they're overpaid, I actually feel a little bit bad for Wall Street. I know I'm going to be in the minority, but losing top talent to every other industry in the world, Guy, I'm surprised you haven't run off this show to do a startup because I think that's where everybody's going.
Now, I'm sticking with Commercial Break. And by the way, you mentioned Linger. Obviously, we've talked about this on Fast Money recently. Great song by the Cranberries, and Dolores O'Riordan, who we lost way too soon. She was a hero. Great lyricist, great vocalist, Tim Seymour.
I could go all day on favorite Irish bands for 200, Alex. And obviously, I would throw U2 in there. I would probably throw Big Country. Yeah, although they might be Scottish, actually, now that I think about this.
You should have just gone with Van Morrison and just dropped the mic. I mean, that's where I would have gone.
Next hero of the week. I mean, we have a case where if you think about the sports world, there's always somebody that's either doing something right or wrong. Russell Westbrook was in the news this week for reasons I'm not sure he wants to be, maybe some because he does. Your call on Russell.
I love Russell Westbrook. I've always loved his game. I love everything about him. I wish he was a Knick at one time. It's not going to happen now. But recently in a game, mid-game, there was a spill on the court, and Russell Westbrook picked up a mop and cleaned up the spill. He did it really well, by the way, got a standing ovation, and then went on to dunk on the next play over some dude, totally posterizing him. So in my world, Russell Westbrook is a hero.
So if Russell Westbrook was judged on skills and talent, he's a hero in anybody's book. But if he's judged on attitude, he's a zero. I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, what also happened this week is very telling. He got benched. He got benched because he wasn't the guy to bring the defense in a game against the Lakers, who, by the way, are scuffling, as we like to say. and I think really pushed back on the coach's wishes. And a very mild mannered coach in LA who at one point I think was hired to not rock the boat of egos. Look, Russell Westbrook is a phenomenal player, and it's nice that there's no I in the word Russell when it comes to pushing a mop and a broom on the court to clean up. And most guys should have that attitude. But honestly, I think there is no. I think there's a big I in Westbrook when it comes to playing the game the way the coach wants you to.
Love Russell Westbrook. You mentioned rocking the boat. Of course, a great '70s song by Hughes Corporation. I can't name another song, and I'm not going to ask you because my sense is you don't have one.
How about the song "Fly, Robin, Fly"? You know how many words there were in that song?
I think three.
Three. And that was, I believe, the Silvers. And why we're bringing this up, I don't know. Maybe because if you think back to the 70s, Dorothy Hamill was skating circles around the rest of the world. It's the Olympics time, Guy Adami. And I think we've got room for one more hero or zero this week.
Yeah, well, we don't have room for the Eagles. They're fly, Eagles fly. Well, they didn't fly this past wild card weekend, but somebody that is flying, I'm going to read her name, is Mariah Bell. At the age of 25, she's the oldest qualifying for figure skating since 1928. Think about that. At 25 years old, the oldest woman to qualify to be on the women's figure skating team since 1928. Hero in my book, Tim Seymour.
Look, major hero. It's hard to believe that. So how old is she now? She's 25? 25-year-old in this profession, apparently. And makes me, 2.25 times old if I was going to be skating. By the way, I never really had much skating game. In fact, I would maintain that if I could skate, I'd be a professional hockey player right now, Guy Adami. That's right.
Why do you say that? I mean, so I'd love to hear the reasons why.
Because with a pair of sneakers on, playing in the streets, with a couple of rickety nets, and a nice curve to my stick, man, I can whip one past you all day long. And by the way, wasn't afraid to take the body, wasn't afraid to throw somebody down. So but I couldn't skate, and that's a big if. And obviously, this young lady can skate, and if you think about it, she's probably competing with young women that are almost half her age. Because, I mean, the last time I checked, and by the way, you will catch me. My wife's caught me watching skating on a Saturday afternoon. She's surprised, yet pleased that, it's a kinder, gentler Tim Seymour checking out some skating. These are young ladies, and at 25, good for her. Hero.
I love the fact that you think that if you had skating ability, you'd be playing right now in the National Hockey League.
I think I'm that third line left wing, because, again, I shoot lefty, which is surprising. I write. By the way, I mean, people at Commercial Break know a lot about us, Guy Adami. They see us every night on TV. But what they don't know is probably that I'm a left-handed writer and a right-handed thrower. And again, if I hadn't torn my rotator cuff in high school baseball, I'd probably be a very serviceable middle reliever coming out of the pen in Flushing. But no, I mean, I'm actually a lefty hockey player, but that's not. But if I'd be a third line guy who's really supposed to be a scrappy checking line, not your fourth line. But I would actually have the ability to actually break down the wing and just whip one past the goalie, maybe even 5-hole. Maybe.
I love that. Well, that makes you amphibious, which is a wonderful attribute. Good for you, Tim. And listen, I think we sort of got to swim our way out of here. But before we do, tell the folks where they can find us.
Well, look, if you're on the road, if you're traveling in your hotel room and your airport sitting by your gates, we are, by the way, going to be checking out the Olympics because I actually think this is going to be an incredible Winter Olympics this year. But I am Tim Seymour. You are Guy Adami. And where are we? What are we?
Well, collectively, Tim, we are, in fact, Commercial Break.